Alright, so I just took down this standing dead tree in my backyard. I'm going to show a way to split this with just a saw. Um, I'm sure other people have done this before. I mean, everybody's used wedges. That's going to be the secret if you don't stick around, is to just whittle up some wedges and split the wood. I mean, the knife that I have on me is just like a 3-inch knife, and I could baton this, but I want to kind of show a different way. You could do this like with just a pocket knife. Maybe I'll just do it with my pocket knife instead. That I wouldn't want a baton. So I'm gonna pause it and cut a chunk out, and then show the wedges, and then I'll come back. All right, so there's my little silky pocket saw that I use to cut all this stuff up. I cut 2 little wedges off of, I'll just show you, these dead branches from one of my choke cherry trees in the back, and I just wanted them because they were harder. So I took this branch that came off of here, which is that branch, and so I just took 2 little chunks of that I'm going to carve into wedges, and then I made, the mosquitoes are bad out here, I've got to spray again. So I'm either going to split this one, is probably the more challenging one. It's pretty dense, and pretty hard. This one would be the smarter bet because it's further up the tree, and it's drier, and softer. So I don't know yet which one I'm going to do. One I'm going to use as the baton. So I think I'm probably going to use this heavier one that was further toward the base as a baton to baton this one. But we'll see. If that's the case, I really only need 1 wedge, but I just want to more show, that you can make multiple wedges. Fat wood makes really, really good wedges. I have a set of 3 little fat wood wedges that I leave in my one of my bags that I take kayaking, just because if I needed to, I could, scrape fat wood off of them if I had to, or I can use them as wedges for splitting. But I usually keep, like a decent, like 4-inch knife when I'm kayaking too. So, all right, I'm going to carve these into wedges quick. All right, so I decided to just go ahead and show how I make the wedges. I might do it differently than some people, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is chamfer the back corners here so that they don't split out when I'm hitting them. So I'm just going to go around and just kind of pluck this little square edge off from the saw. So like that, basically. You could probably clean that up if you really cared too much, but I don't. I'm probably not going to make these permanent or anything. And then just take off like at an angle here and kind of make them a decent slope to them so that they can split, and then come in straight from the other side. Ouch. That's what I get for trying to be too close to the table. Okay, so you can see I ran off a little bit, so I've got to just square that up. I'm a little steeper on one side to the other. It doesn't really matter. So I'll pull this one back just a little bit so they're a little more even, because I'm going to have to kind of fix this tip here. So that's a little bit, come in a little bit from the sides. So make them a little bit kind of sharp, but still pretty wedgy. I'm going to come back just a little bit further. A little bit more like that. I'm not super concerned with how sharp they are. I want them just to be kind of able to get down into the wood. So about like that. Let's see. So anyway, nothing perfect. Square up this edge just a little bit more too. So I'll call that good. I'll do another one. And this one I'll do a little bit steeper. Yeah, I'll do this one with just a pocket knife, so that you can kind of see that you could do it with just literally, if you just had that saw, you could do it with just your pocket knife. You can see that Bark River definitely. I mean, I like this Sabenza and all, but the Bark River is definitely better at wood. But sometimes this is all I carry. It's a good pocket knife. So make this one a little bit more convex, or concave, like a hollow grind, whatever that would be. Concave, I guess. And then make the edge a little bit sharp. Sorry, I'm pulling way up here because I'm getting old and blind. Everything I have to do has to be under my glasses, or I can't see what I'm doing. It's probably time for bifocals, I guess. Alright, so anyway, I may speed that footage up, but honestly that didn't take very long. And I kind of miss doing these videos where I just kind of ramble in real time instead of all the editing. I just don't always have time to kind of pay attention to what I'm saying and keep everything nice and PG to not have to edit it out sometimes. So alright, so anyway, there's a couple wedges, and then I'm gonna pause you and come back. So I'm gonna just record this on this flat stone by my fireplace, since I'm not using a knife and trying not to hit that anyway. So what I'm gonna do, this part is let's see, this end doesn't have a knot. This end has a small branch right here, but it's not probably bad enough to have a knot, but I'd rather have no knots and just in case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this, let's see if I can show this. I'm going to prop this like this, and I'm going to hold down on it, and I'm going to start the saw just a tiny bit vertically like that. And then I'm going to work down. Let's see if I got that in frame. Yeah. So I'm doing this gently because my hand is over here. So let me turn this. So I've got my hand here, and I'm not a fan of being cut and hurt in the woods, because I don't, I'm not a fan of bleeding in general. All right, so I've got my hand here. But for me to screw this up, I'd have to really rip this back into my hand. But I don't want my leg there or anything. I'd rather, chop my hand a little bit if there's a choice over, my legs. So anyway, that's why I'm being gentle, and I've got myself braced. You can't really see this, but it's almost like a chest pull grip. I've got my elbow here. My elbow's hitting myself in the gut. So when I pull back with this saw, this is all the further I can go. So I'm like really short stroking it because my elbow's hitting my stomach. So I've got like a stop point built in there on purpose, so that I can't come, see, like I popped out there on purpose. I can come out and I can still catch the saw here. I'm not using the tip of the saw where I could slip out and hit myself. I'm more here, and I'm able to, if I jump out, I can't hit myself. Anyway, safety lesson over. But people usually, love to pick things apart. So I'm definitely being safe about this because my hand is directly behind it. And I've seen people do a lot worse. So anyway, I'm working my way down just like a slight vertical cut here. And the reason I started in at a side is so that I'm not, doing something stupid like this. So, all right, so I'm gonna flip it over and get in the cut from the bottom side. All right, so now I'm in the kerf pretty good. So I'm pretty safe there. And I'm gonna come in just a tiny bit from this angle as well. Okay, so that's it with the saw. I'm gonna set this aside. I'll point you back at the rock. Okay, so I'll take this, elevate this up a bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm probably only going to need the one wedge, but I think this all makes sense. I'm just going to start the wedge down in the kerf here. I might go both wedges just in case. I cut them the same length or relatively close once I trim the tips up. So, but I've got a pretty big saw kerf there, so I'm going to probably use the fatter one. So I'm going to pop the fatter wedge in here and then put this base down on the rock so I get a good solid base. And man, you can just barely see that. Okay, so, and then I'm going to smack this with the saw, or with the saw, geez, with this other log, with this baton. So see, I've already just tapped that in and started it in, so it doesn't take much for this. But then you can see it's starting to split out. Hopefully you can see that down the bark. So just tap in, get my hand back. This is all really gentle, but rather than batoning, say, a folding knife or something, that you don't want to ruin, this is a bit better bet. I had a video a while back where I showed where I batoned and got a sliver of wood out, and then laid that sliver of wood in and batoned that just like a knife too. It's just kind of like a different version of doing wedges. So this one I can just split by hand, but I want to show that you could just drive this down the rest of the way. So I'm going to hold down here so I can kind of control this so it doesn't blow all over the place, and then I'm going to give it a good smuck. Okay, so it's starting to run out the side a little bit. And if this was really, really bad, what you could do is come in somewhere down here in the split and come in from the side. This is the same way you would split, say, a log if you wanted to, to kind of split lumber out of a log or something. So I think you can still see that on there. Yeah, sort of. So that ran off a little bit, but it doesn't matter. This is sort of like that piece that if you shaved it down just a little bit and kind of made it sharper on one edge and fatter at the other, that you could baton this piece through. That way you have a handle, and you can, if you go back and look, I have a video on that. I didn't do a very good job of it. It was one of my first videos, and so it was kind of shoddy. But these little wedges are quick to make with a pocket knife, and you can baton this without having to, beat the hell out of your knife or anything, like people do all the time. So, and then from this, I mean, you could baton this. You could, if you found something like this and didn't have your saw even, you could come in like this and make, start out with a notch and start out like, I've got my hands all safe here, so I'm push cutting and the tension's coming away. Like, I should probably show that kind of stuff more. So, these mosquitoes are great. So even if I cut like this, I'm not coming down to my hand. I'm very controlled. I have my finger underneath here to hold everything stable, and I'm just kind of chewing away at that. And it's a very sharp knife, so it's not, there's nowhere for it to go. So, but you can come in here and get kind of a triangle bit out again. And then hold back here. And get a cut. I mean, in this case, I would just baton this because, why not? But if this was just a folding knife again and you didn't want to ruin it, so you could get a start to that with a folding knife. Might have to go a little deeper than that even. And I'll do the fatter wedge again. And we'll see if it's enough to start this. I'd probably start that in because it's smaller. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, see, so it's starting down. So let's see, it's starting to split there. So I'll keep it from running out, and then I could just pull this apart because it's soft wood, but you could come down again, or you could go again in the side like we did before and split this out, and then take this wedge and move it down, and then move this wedge down, and so on. It's just getting that split. This piece you can split. I'm just going to split this piece with my knife quick since I have it. So if you ever also get down in here like this and you can't get your knife out or whatever, and you have wedges, you can come in with wedges, come in from the top with a wedge like this, and just pop a wedge in here. I'm going to do it off the rock so when my knife falls out it doesn't wreck my knife, but give that a little bit of space, and then so your knife can come right out with like 2 fingers, nothing to it. So, but this wood just pops apart anyway. So anyway, that was the video. So just for follow up, I'm just gonna quickly feather stick these up, and we'll throw them in there and light them on fire. So these should take just a lighter, nice and easy. I've been playing with this Exotac lighter I just got. It's a Exotac Nano something Strike Titan Light. So far I like it. Unless something's wrong with mine, it only burns for about It says 30 seconds on the package. It says something like don't go over 30 seconds or something. I think that has something to do with, I can't remember, with Zippo type fuel lighters. I haven't run a real Zippo without a butane insert in quite a few years, but I think it has something to do with the fluid wicking up the wick, that it burns that down and then they kind of go out. But I could be wrong on that. It might not be correct. It might be something wrong with this one. I don't know. So I'll have to investigate that. But you let it run for about 30 seconds or 40 seconds, and it starts to really go down. It starts out with a decent flame, and then it starts to drop. So I'm not sure what's up with that. I'm gonna just throw these. I mean, that might be normal. So I'm gonna throw these sticks up here, and peel the bark off. These are just popple, so they're gonna be pretty dry bark, although everything feels a little bit wet. It was raining last night. Alright, so I've got a little bit of a makeshift kind of a Swedish torch operation going on here. Just a stump that I burned out last night that was kind of punky in the middle, and so the outside is what stayed alive. So these are really good. I think I've showed this in other videos. You can throw a spark into this stuff and get an ember going, and then use that to start your fire, like same as you would a ember from a bow drill or whatever. I like to leave my fires in the middle of this, just because once this fire starts, this stuff will start. So if your fire goes out, you'll wind up with this outer bit that's like coaling up good. So it looks like my phone is at 5% battery. That's fantastic. All right, I'm gonna pause this and light this quick. All right, I'm gonna light this quick before I lose battery power. Put my cap back in my pocket. Nothing ever goes quite right, eh? Alright guys, I think it didn't die. Yep, still recording. Thanks for watching.